Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video, welcome back to another cooking video, and today I'm going to have a pretty short and straightforward one for you. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the delicious, quick and easy garlic mashed potatoes. So in a second here I'll run through all the steps really quick. Like I said, keep this video nice and short, and this is the recipe that you can break out at any time, whether I'm just cooking dinner for myself and my family, a few of us tonight, or whether you want to make this on a bigger scale. These are always sure to be a crowd pleaser. You're going to see in a second how really super easy it is to do, and there's not a lot of steps to it. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So of course, just like anything else, step one is going to be to peel and cut your potatoes and get them in a pot, which eventually is going to be covered with water. Now what I like to do in terms of amount of potatoes, again, since I'm only cooking right now for 3 people tonight, myself and my parents for dinner, I'm going to do about a potato per person with maybe 1 or 2 extras. But typically, because mashed potatoes go a lot further than, say, even roasted, obviously because they're mashed up, I like to keep it pretty simple, usually about maybe a potato per person. I have one here that's a little bit bigger than the others, but usually keep that in mind. Usually try to think of maybe 1 or 2 servings per person for whatever your measurement is going to be. And just real quickly, guys, whenever you're peeling your potatoes, always check for fat spots. Like so, these don't look too bad, but if you ever see little kind of black or brown spots like this, just simply cut them out. You don't usually want to peel them, as sometimes they go a little bit too deep to just straight peel them. So just go ahead, cut those out, and continue on with your peeling and cutting of your potatoes. Okay, so once you get your potatoes cut in the pot, all you got to do then is cut up some fresh garlic. Throw that in the pot as well. Now we're just going to take the whole thing over, cover it all the way up with cold water, and get it on the stove. Like so, cover with water, get it over to your stove, put it up on high heat, and then the only other thing you got to add to the pot at this point is some salt, and then you let it cook down, and once it cooks down, we'll come back and finish off. Okay, so 40 minutes later, potatoes are cooked, they're nice and soft. You'll know if you take a fork or a knife. Pretty much if you can squish it all the way down, you're good to go. So, just take your pot over to your sink and strain them out. You don't want to necessarily drain them fully. You want to leave a little bit of that water to help when you mash them up. And then for me mashing, I like to use my mixer with the whisk attachment. It helps to make them really smooth. If you don't have that, or you're kind of short on time, you can of course just get a potato masher and just mash them up. But I like to do this. It just makes life a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, and it makes the potatoes nice and smooth, which is what I like personally. It's a bit too much water in there. Just drain a little bit more out. So once you have your potatoes, get them into your bowl to be ready to mash. As I mentioned, I'm using my mixer here, so I'm just going to lock the bowl in. I am going to grab the whisk, and then we're going to give it an initial kind of mix up to start, and then we're going to go in and add some butter, some cream, and any extra seasoning that you might need. So just put it on low to start. Make sure your cat's not helping you. Put it on low to start, kind of get it going, get it a little bit fluffy. And then you're going to want to grab a spoon or a spatula or something if you're using a mixer like this. Scrape down the sides. And then at this point, like I said, I'm going to grab some butter and some cream and fold it in there, and I'll show you that next. So you can see here I got some butter, I got some cream. Now, because I'm just doing a quick batch for dinner, I'm not going to bother melting it all together, but if you want to, I guess, do it the proper way, or if you're doing a really big batch of potatoes, then you want to go ahead and heat up your milk or your cream and your butter together so that you're not putting cold into warm. But again, I'm doing this really quickly. We're going to be eating dinner shortly. There's enough heat left in the potatoes that everything will just mix up really quickly. So for this application, I'm not going to worry about it, but yeah, keep that in mind. If you're doing a bigger batch or you're not going to be eating it right away, definitely you want to melt your butter and heat up your cream together and pour the hot cream into the hot potatoes. So in terms of the amount of butter, again, I only have a small bit here. So I'm going to take a little knob of butter. And remember, with this, you always want to start with a little bit, and you can always add in more. You can never take it back out in the end. So add a bit of your butter, add a little bit of your cream in there, drop it back down, and again, on a low setting, you want to just turn it on, let it start to mix up. Once all the liquid's kind of mixed in, you can go and crank it up. and let it go, and in about a minute or two, you should have nice and smooth mashed potatoes. All right, and there we go, guys. A couple minutes later, we now have some nice, light, fluffy, and creamy mashed potatoes that, once again, you can see how simple that recipe is. And again, if you don't have a mixer like this, obviously you can just use your hands. It might take a little bit longer, but if you cook down the potatoes until they're really, really soft, they tend to blend really, really quickly, and you can also use a spatula or a spoon to help fold in your cream and your butter. So there you go, guys. That's kind of the simple, quick recipe. One thing I didn't mention before for the amount of garlic cloves, if they're bigger, you might maybe use 2. Mine were a little bit smaller, so I ended up using 1 big one, I think 2 or 3 smaller ones. But again, if they're bigger, use maybe 2 or 3, depending on how much potatoes you have. Or, obviously if they're smaller, go a little more. But that's pretty much it. If you guys want to maybe jazz it up a little bit, at this point you can maybe add some fresh herbs, some parsley, or maybe even fold in some green onions. You want to make it a little bit fancier. But that's kind of just your really simple, standard mashed potato recipe, guys. So it was a bit of a shorter video, as I mentioned, but there you go. Quick little recipe for mashed potatoes. If you enjoyed this video, please give a big thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.